And I think there's a lot of confusion about what is, for example, like we're talking about masculinity. What does it actually mean?
Yeah.
Some people think it's to macho or to be pumped up and strong and whatever. But to actually go, what does it mean? Women somehow often seem to be very finely tuned to how present is this guy. But then the question is, what does presence mean? Yeah. And then it's like, okay, then you have to kind of explain that, the embodiment of these two dicks in the body and so on. It's a very misunderstood area, I think.
Well, to begin with, we both do spiritual work, right? So I'm a Tantric philosopher, you're a Tantric xologist in that sense, but you also know the benefits of very often working with the men and the women separate from each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
You try to challenge them and make them work together. And there's a strong, wonderful, androgynous element to the TNT that we like. You're so personified. I think that's really helpful, because if you say you take on sexuality in a shamanic way, then certainly the androgynous presence is really great. Because the androgynous is the go-between between man and woman in that sense. But you also
just on that point, I mean, it's so interesting how confronting that is for people, for like a man to wear a dress.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, women's fine for them to have a masculine side and wear men's clothes, but it's so confronting for people to, and so socially unacceptable for a man to embody his feminine side. And that's why one of the reasons I do it. Like I always say, I try and stand for that which people cannot stand for themselves. Why can't a man embody his feminine side? It certainly gave me a better understanding, because I notice a weird thing, right? When I'm in my masculine, dressed as a guy, I kind of think as a guy, right? Okay, what I've got to do next, got to have my purpose, be on mission, am I winning, am I failing, so on thing. But then when I put on a dress, all of a sudden I'm like, my mind switches, right? It's kind of weird, and all of a sudden it's, I'm looking at the other women. What are they wearing? Who's prettier? Am I prettier? Who's the guys looking at? And then it's all of a sudden I see, but because I'm not fully
power,
right. And then it's all of a sudden like I can see my mind switching. I'm not fully immersed in it like a fish, what is water. They're in it all the time. All of a sudden I notice my thoughts changing. Then I start competing with other women or something, and it's like, interesting. And that gave me some understanding of the masculine and feminine in men, for example, and how it switches.
So obviously, you and I both believe strongly that men and women, and we believe in the androgynous, and we have a sort of tribal understanding of what it means to be human. And still, we have arrived in a society today that believes in some kind of blank slate ideology. And it's become a common belief that boys and girls are born the same, like if they were blank slates, and everything else they're being trained to be, like genders or roles that they're trained to be, rather than being free to be whatever they want to be.
Right.
Now, that's kind of weird, because, both you and I work with men and women. We definitely see how men and women are different, and actually how that is attractive to both of them. And we believe in female strength, we believe in male strength. Right? So when you work, do you find it sometimes better to work with the men separate and the women separate?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And how does that come about? When do you experience that it's better to separate the two genders actually to teach them?
Well, just a nuance on that, just before I answer that. We actually separate them into masculine and feminine. So you'll get some women that have a larger masculine, let's call it core. Right, so they like to. They're even from little children. That girl was more interested in cars, or more interested in science, or more interested in reading, or whatever. She has a natural thing, and often sexually she'll be dominant. I have a couple of.
I call it phallic.
Right, it's totally phallic.
It's the same thing.
And I think that's where Freud had something there, the whole penis thing. Because I have some lesbian friends, and she says, I always try and masturbate, on my vagina things, but within seconds I'm always thinking of having a penis, and they want to be the top in that. So we actually we don't say men have to be masculine, women have to be feminine. Choose, and also be good at both.
Yes.
Which is quite interesting.
But that's what you personally practice, obviously.
Right, well, because I kind of feel like I really did my heterosexual Australian male for, most of my life. And, I was, a straight guy, and, but I kind of did it and kind of got a little bit bored. So for me now, it's all quite new and interesting to try and be in the feminine form and see how do I express that in my life, and I kind of feel like I change as a different person. I don't try to change my voice or be, feminine or whatever. But it does seem to, I somehow think and feel differently, and that's quite interesting for me to explore that. And I feel
think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if you've got a little full and rich life, try as
Right.
many things you possibly can.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what, you know, in my feminine side, I'm kind of still feel straight. I'm still attracted to the opposite. The opposite's attracting.
Yeah.
So it's also interesting to see how your sexuality could change, and that's, you know, one of the tantric practice is to take this firm idea: I am something. I am man. I am woman. I am whatever you are. To actually challenge that, and it's, you know, the first time I put on a dress, it was really confronting, you know, of, you know, what am I then? And then this kind of, you know, solidity of who I am dissolving in that process. And I think right now we're moving more and more into where androgyny is becoming more and more fashionable. It's becoming more accepted. I mean, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race is, you know, it's season 10 or something now. It's hugely popular. There's now models that are very androgynous.
And I'm waiting for the gays and the lesbians to leave the ghettos and move back into society as a whole, because that's what we need them. But
I think they are,
totally
yeah.
for the androgynous element being integrated with the rest of society.
Right.
It's really, really needed inside society.
Right, and it's interesting for people. I mean, when I put on a dress, I mean, you can't believe how many women will look at me and come up to me, oh my God, you're so pretty, because it's like, you know, I think a lot of women have, you know, these, you know, bi-curious tendencies. They're, you know, masturbating to girl-on-girl stuff, or even watching girl-on-girl porn, and all of a sudden there's, you know, a girl that, you know, has a penis. It's kind of like, they're kind of like very curious. And I think a lot of people will kind of look at me and things, and I don't get a lot of judgment. It depends which country I'm in, but especially in first world countries, I don't get very much flack from it. But the people who are most interested and think it's really cool are often the children, because children love to dress up.
Yeah.
You know, and children are often, if they're you know, playing doctors and nurses or daddy
They're
and mummy,
playing their way forward anyway. They're imitating the grown-ups to try to find out what it's like. And they do cross-dressing. I did when I was 5 years old.
Right,
too.
or if they're playing, you know, naughty little sexual games, they often play with boys and girls.
Yeah.
It's often we're then shamed or conditioned, like you only get love, appreciation, approval if you play with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, that's another thing we also play with is the whole, okay, you know, by curiosity. If you're doing it in TNT, we're not going to judge you. You know, we're not going to shame you. It's just, you know, why sit there your whole life thinking about it and never living it out? It's like, does it hurt anyone if two consenting adults play it out? So that's one of the things that we do, and often in men's and women's groups, one of the things they do in the women's groups is that they say to the women, hey, if, you know, you have this fantasy or interest to play with other women, go for it if you want. We don't care if you do or not. We're not going to force you. That's bad for business to force people. But if you want to, you won't get shamed here. And then the girls do it and they love it and it's fine. It's no big deal.
And probably quite a few strap-ons around.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's similar, you know, with men it's a little more scary.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for men, you know, anything that involves penis is, you know, very taboo, very scary.
Which is weird, because I teach men, when we do men's work, that the heterosexual intercourse in itself is the man's worship of his own penis. And I just basically tell them that, admit it, you know, you worship your own penis when you're fucking a woman. And the pussy is there and it's beautiful as a decoration around your penis. And they love it.
You might get in trouble saying that, but anyway.